Here we go, folks. This is it. This is the whole reason that I started this YouTube channel. And I'm real excited to be doing a video on this finally. Obviously, I've done a handful of videos, and now we're to the whole reason I started this channel. This is a 1980 short bed GMC. I think you'd call it an C-10. I can't remember what the GMC abbreviation for two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive is offhand. Slipped my mind. Anyway, it's two-wheel drive, okay? What I wanted to do is real quick give you the introduction to this old gal and let you know what I've done to it. Some things I've done are a four-link rear suspension with airbags. I boxed part of the frame in. I've also done tubular upper and lower control arms. And as you'll see, I've also sandblasted and powder coated the frame. I've done tons and tons of work to just the frame alone, and I've spent oodles amounts of money on this thing that I really wished I wouldn't have. This thing would have been so cool if I'd have just run it with the original six-banger in it, did some drop spindles, maybe even cut the coils a little bit, whatever, and then just worked on it as I go. Well, I wanted to do a full-blown restoration on this, and I just wasn't prepared for it. I was in my early 20s. So here it sits many, many years later, and I want to get this thing running and driving. I'm not going to touch the paint anytime soon. I plan on putting lots and lots of miles on this before I even think about painting it. Some things I have done to it is I did the LS swap. I did the standalone harness. I rewired the thing myself, and I hope it works. So what it needs at this point is for the ECU to get programmed, to get rid of the vats and maybe do a little tune-up, get rid of some of those rear oxygen sensors, that kind of thing. It's got a 4L60E in it, and it's got a hodgepodge of fenders, doors, and the bed is all off of something else. Today, what I want to do is get started on the bodywork. I want to get the interior prepped for paint, which it's not far off, but there is some sanding to do. I wanted to show that. With any luck, we might actually get this thing painted and some other bodywork, but we'll see how it kind of turns out while we're doing this stuff. So let's dive into this thing and kind of see where we're at. All right, this is the driver's side cab corner, and basically what I'm going to do is take and mark a line. You can see there's some rust here, there's some rust over here. I'm going to take and mark a line about up here somewhere where I want to cut it all the way through, and I might actually make it even with a seam over here. And then we will drill out that spot weld and pull this part out, and then we'll start on to the replacement panel. So let's start off by just getting a line marked, and then I'll go ahead and drill it, and might as well cut it while we're here. All right, so what I think I'll do is I'm going to come over here-ish, where the rocker body line is, and I'm gonna, this doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm just gonna cut it right about there, I think. That looks pretty good. Above that spot weld, we can deal with that on the new panel when we get to it. For right now, though, I think that'll work. So now, I'm going to grab my safety gear, and then we'll start prepping the patch panel, or the new panel, to go in there. Okay, now that we've got our safety gear on, let's go ahead and start by just drilling that little spot weld. It's just the one right there. Then we'll go ahead and get that bad boy going. All right, let's go ahead and start cutting. Okay, here we go. Looks like there's about 3 other spot welds down here, or 3 more. I'm going to go ahead and get those drilled out, and this one drilled out. Now, I'm not drilling them all the way through. I just want to kind of break the so to speak. And then I'm going to come in with an air chisel and we'll get this puppy pulled off all the way. Here's our patch panel. And basically, since we know that we're only going to be taking, you know, a few inches of this corner out, whatever this was, whatever that amount is, and it goes like that. So what we're going to do, nope, sorry, I had it upside down. It goes like that. What we're going to do, we don't need all of this. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and kind of mark a line to get some of this out of here. And we're going to be trimming it back and trimming it back. But this will help us, if we cut all that jazz off, all this stuff, it'll help us get this to fit better and kind of go how we want and just get all this out of the way. So let's go ahead and cut that real quick. Safety gear. Now that's how you get the use out of your grinding desk or your cutting wheel. Hot dang, got our monies out of that. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go throw another one on. Got a little more trimming to do and we're getting this thing knocked out. Sweet. Now that we've got this somewhat trimmed, I already know that this is gonna be a little bit of a problem. We're gonna wanna trim that off. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead and fit it and just take a look at kind of how everything lines up, which that lines up really, really nice. On this side, right where I said it was, it's rubbing, which I know you can't see it, but it is. So I'm going to cut a little bit of this off, and then we'll go ahead and try fitting it again and see where we're at. Got my new cutting wheel. So now I'm taking my new piece and I've got it fitting very, very nice. I like where this is at. It's fitting good here, over on these insides, down here. Everything's looking real good here. So now what I'm gonna do is, we've still got a ton of extra material here, and this is good metal here. So I wanna use as much of the factory metal as I can. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go ahead and figure out where this line is on here, and I'm gonna cut maybe an inch above that. Then I'm gonna cut a relief cut on this corner, and then we're gonna grind where our weld spot is, both on the truck and on the new replacement panel, and that's where we're gonna weld it. So let me get some stuff marked and kind of show you as I'm doing this. It should make sense here in a minute. All right, we've got this cut. We know exactly where it's gonna be. So what we can do now, and I'm gonna clean up, there's burrs on the back side of that I will clean up. I'm just kind of double checking my fit where everything is, getting it lined up the way it needs to be. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark my line, which is dead on where I had kind of rough marked it. So this is where we're going to go as far as this line here will be our weld. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to clean up where that line is with my grinder, just get bare metal showing. I'm going to do the same on this piece, clean up the backside a little bit, and then I'm going to do my relief cut there, and we are ready at that point to start welding. And I'll explain the whole welding thing here in a minute when we get to that point, but right now, this is how the setup is going to be. And I really like the way that's looking. So let's go ahead and get to grinding. Here we go. I've got my welder on, everything's set up. Of course, got my helmet. So I'm going to go ahead and get this where I want it. And there is a little bit of wiggle room on how you do this as far as lining it up or whatever. So just get it the way that you think looks the best. And I think right there looks the best. Just double check everything. I think we're going to go right there. All right, so what I'm going to start with is just tacking it. Okay, I'm just going to re-look at everything. When I get to this side, and actually this side over here, I'm going to push in, and I'm going to do that now, put a spot weld. And I'm going to do the same over here. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a little bit of play where this can come in and out. So I am just going to get that kind of tucked in, and then we will spot weld it. Okay, so now I've got it in place. Just going to kind of re-look at it. I've got a little bit of play down here. So I'm going to get down in an awkward, precarious spot, and I'm going to push and then tack. Getting a little warm, so I'm going to let it cool off and then I'll try it again here. There, I think we got it. No, we did not. So actually what I'm going to do is grab a pliers, and that way I don't have to keep holding it. And actually, by pliers, I meant vice grip. One of these guys. That looks really nice. So what we need to do is just get it to stick here. All right, we've got it. We've got it tacked into place. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna use this one more time just because there's a little bit of a space right there and I want to close that, but I'm just going to go and weld it. So I think this kind of weld that I'm doing is called a stitch weld. I'm not a professional welder by any stretch. The bottom line is it's not going to matter too much how horrible it looks because we got to come back, grind this, and blend it. But what I am doing is giving it an opportunity to cool a little bit. When you're working with thin sheet metal, it'll burn right through and it'll warp and do all kinds of stuff. And the more warping it does, the more grinding and bonder we have to do and re-welding. So I'm going to try and just go slow, take my time, and do this a little bit at a time while it's cooling. And I'm going to be honest, that looks good. That looks real good. You know, one thing that I had heard at one point along the way that's really good for welding is lighting. And you think, well, geez, you're wearing a darkening helmet. What do you need lighting for? Well, the fact of the matter is, when you're looking through this, I don't know if this will show you, but when you're looking through that, it is kind of hard to see. So I think I might go grab a little bit of light. All right, so I got my initial welding done. I already know that this welding is going to need more. In fact, I can even see holes in it still, which is okay. I'm going to let it cool down a little bit, and then I'm going to grind it, see if I can blend stuff in a bit, and just kind of see the direction that this takes me. So we'll just keep working on it. But the bottom line is, cab corner's in. So even if we left it with these booger chicken poop welds, who cares? The corner's in. No, not really. But we'll keep at it. All right, what I'm going to use is this sanding disc, and it's a 36 grit, and this is pretty darn aggressive. And I'm just going to go through here, through there, on both sides there, get it better looking than what it does. And then I'm going to come back and try to cool it off with this just so I can get more work done a little bit quicker. I came up with that, I think, on my own, but I'm sure millions of people do it. It makes sense to me anyway. can see where we're at with it. Certainly a good start. Now you can see here, there's a little bit of a low spot right there. So what I'm going to do is go to the back with that hammer and see if I can't just encourage it to go out a little bit. If it does, great. If not, that's okay. We'll get it taken care of, but that's it. There's at the bottom. So that's our first pass. Let's go on to the second one. I am by no means a body person or a professional painter or anything like that. I'm just a do-it-yourselfer, probably like a lot of people watching. But as you can see here, I did a decent job. It's certainly not perfect. It's got some holes and some bumps and some things like that in it. But I think we're going to put a skim coat of Bondo over it. I think it's going to be just fine. I think this is going to be a successful cab corner. So there that is. I don't have any Bondo currently, so I'm going to skip that step in the video anyway. I'll do it off camera because I want to get to painting the inside of this. That's been something that's been taking a very long time, and it's a key step in finishing this interior. I can't do windows, glass, I can't do anything until that's done on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and paint it, and I'm going to show you guys how I go about doing this. So I'm going to get you set up in a spot where you can kind of see what's going on, and let's check this out. Well, I got the primer done and it turned out really, really good. Check this out. And that's just primer. So of course we were black, now we're in primer, or sealer I guess. But I mean, holy moly. I'm not a painter, but maybe I should be. Looks sharp. All right, let's go ahead. I'm going to mix up the paint now. And let's get that stuff sprayed. I'll kind of show you that real quick. And then once it's dried for, I don't know, maybe an hour, we'll go through and I'll show you the final product. I, of course, don't want to screw anything up on the paint. So here is the finished product. A little hard to see. It's kind of, I don't know, a little different paint. Sort of splotchy looking. But you know what? I can dig it. Kind of like it. Real crisp where it needs to be. Yeah, I don't think it's bad at all. We'll see as it keeps drying and hardening, but now the floor I kept in the primer. And I kind of like the primer if I'm being honest too, but anyway, kind of hard to show on camera here just because it's so dark. But pretty cool stuff. Came out pretty nice, I think. Well, guys, we've made some really, really cool progress. I am just so excited to be able to finally show you this truck and to do something with it. It's, as you can see, got dust all over it. It's been sitting, and this is kind of my pride and joy. So to see it that way, well, it hurts my feelings. Serious now. Anyway, I really hope you guys like this. If you'd subscribe, that'd be great because that does something. The thumbs up apparently does something. There's a bell. Ring it, don't ring it, I don't know. But if you guys could do that, I just so much appreciate everybody's support. I hope you enjoyed this video and keep watching. Check these builds out. We've got more coming. I'm going to keep plugging away at these. There's also going to be some other cool ones coming up in the future that we'll get to. I think you guys will like it. Thank you for watching.